What the American people do want is that we have leaders who can build consensus, where we can figure out compromise and understand it's not a bad thing, as long as you don't compromise your values, to find common sense solutions. And that has been my approach.
Ah, yes, all evidence to the contrary and no accomplishments to point to, but Kamala Harris having a fluffy old time with 60 Minutes, and it aired Monday night for some reason. So I've got a lot to get to and little time to do it. I do want to finish up the Peter Doocy back and forth with cringe at the White House briefing yesterday, and she was dressed like an Edward G. Robinson-style gangster with I guess somebody else's suit, because it still had the paper tag on the left sleeve that's sewn in there that you find in the department store, you know. Normally when you get home, you take those little tiny scissors and you cut through the threads and you take the tag off, right? But she's wearing a man's suit. It's a man wearing a man's suit and chalk stripe. It's not really a pinstripe, more of a chalk stripe, I think, gray, and a fuchsia shirt with some ruffles, looking kind of gangster, a little bit tranny, something like that going on. But Peter Doocy said, well, listen, Kamala was proud to announce $150 million for Lebanon, but if you're an American and you're just hit by a giant hurricane, then you get maybe $750. But when the nice young lady asked for the $750, she got $300, according to the mayor of a town that was hit by the hurricane. So Peter Doocy was having as, oh, your question is misinformation. And then I played Tim Walz for you saying that misinformation has to be illegal because you can't allow people to not be punished when they spread misinformation, like wearing a surgical mask will keep you from getting the Wuhan Red Death, and getting the vaccine will keep you from getting the Wuhan Red Death, and getting the vaccine will keep you from spreading the Wuhan Red Death, and all these other things. And Hillary Clinton talking about how, you know, we can't allow people, we have to be able to punish people civilly or criminally for spreading what she calls misinformation. And she won the misinformation prize, didn't she? The contest. She is misinformation of 2023, I think. Just amazing stuff. But let's go to soundbite number 10, because Peter Doocy kept trying with cringe with her crazy gangster outfit at the White House briefing yesterday. And again, cringe was given a big promotion. She got a promotion yesterday. She's not only assistant to the president and press secretary to the president, but now apparently senior advisor to the president, which is like what Karl Rove and David Axelrod, the position that they held. But Peter Doocy kept trying because she's saying, well, your whole question is misinformation. It's like, you know, no, you're the Biden spokeswoman. You are misinformation. Here she comes, misinformation. Peter Doocy at the White House briefing.
President Biden is fond of saying, show me your budget and I will tell you what you value. If he's got money for people in Lebanon right now, without Congress having to come back, what does it say about his values? There's not enough money right now for people in North Carolina who need it. That's not misinformation.
Wait, no, that is your whole premise of the question is misinformation, sir. What you do? Yes, it's misinformation.
You know, the whole premise of your question is misinformation. It's, of course, nothing of the kind, and it's a perfectly good and relevant question, and not a single other glassy-eyed zombie bootlick in the White House briefing room stepped up to join Peter Doocy and say, well, wait a minute, he's got a point here. How is it that we've got hundreds of billions for Ukraine and tens of millions for Lebanon, and we're funneling millions and millions to Gaza, but we don't have money? The well runs dry at FEMA when it comes to a hurricane hitting the United States of America. Not a single other reporter. Peter Doocy's sitting there next to a glassy-eyed zombie who looks like a cardboard cutout from a communist movie, who doesn't make a facial expression, who doesn't step in and say anything, because they're just complete frauds. And then Cringe became very upset and went and stamped her little feet and got out of there.
What you're asking me the question is misinformation. There is money
That's
that
ridiculous.
we are allocating to the impacted areas.
We
what
are?
you're asking me is why Congress needs to come back and do their job.
That's not what
you're
I'm
asking
asking.
me.
No,
Congress
it's
needs
not.
to come back and do their job and provide extra assistance, extra funding to disaster relief fund. That's what Congress needs to do, and we're going to continue to urge that. You may not want that, but that's okay. That's what this president wants, and that's what the vice president wants. Thanks, everybody.
Not a single reporter stepped up and said, well, wait a minute. Not a single filthy, stinking, rotten, useless, lion Sacagawea fake news reporter in the White House briefing room, not one stepped in to say, well, wait a minute, Cringe. There is something to talk about here. Not a one of them. And she went stamping her little feet out with her zoot suit. And I'm telling you, our news media is the filthiest, most corrupt, most useless, just the most awful institution. Amazing. Wow. It's misinformation, and nobody there steps out. She pulls out this misinformation stuff, which, again, Hillary Clinton is talking about putting people in prison for, and she's accusing White House reporter Peter Doocy of spreading misinformation by asking a question, a perfectly good question, and quoting President Biden about you show me your budget and you show me your values, right? Just amazing.
There are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence.
Criminally charged for spreading what she calls propaganda. Again, like getting the vaccine will keep you from getting the Wuhan because you guys spread that propaganda, and you, with your fake dossier, spread the propaganda about Russian collusion. Oh, speaking of which, who is it? Washington Post reporter of Watergate fame. Who's it? Bob Woodward has a new book coming out, right? A new book. And in his new book, he says that the very sinister President Trump has allegedly spoken to Vladimir Putin maybe as many as 7 times since he left the presidency. And that is a sinister conspiracy theory that Bob Woodward and Hillary Clinton and the rest of the media will be spreading it soon enough, too. Remarkable stuff. So that's what Bob Woodward's big thing is. By the way, there is this. You may have seen the video. Of now President Trump has tweeted it out, and it was shared with me just a short time ago. But I saw it day before yesterday, or at least yesterday for sure. A Black Hawk helicopter, U.S. government, presumably U.S. military, Black Hawk helicopter in western North Carolina comes down to a relief distribution center, which is set up with private organizations in a large parking lot at what appears to be a large strip mall in western North Carolina, which was really hard hit by the Hurricane Helene. And these tents are set up, these 8-foot or 10-foot blue nylon tents that you might take to the beach with your family. And they've set up dozens of these blue tents, and they have relief supplies, private organizations, and they're set up in a parking lot. Now, here comes a U.S. military Black Hawk helicopter, and it comes down to about 100 feet. This is the audio of the helicopter, and there are people yelling, "What's he doing? What's he doing here?" And the helicopter comes down, and the rotor wash from the Black Hawk helicopter, which can be quite great, can be quite tremendous, very powerful helicopter. And this Black Hawk comes down to, I want to say, less than 100 feet over the relief operation set up in the parking lot of a strip mall in western North Carolina. And the Black Hawk blasts everything away. The tents go flying away. It's like another hurricane hit. When this Black Hawk comes down very low altitude and the rotor wash blasts everything in the parking lot all over the place, it honestly looks like another hurricane. You know, you got 150 mile an hour wind from the rotor wash on this Black Hawk helicopter, and the stuff is being blasted all over the place. And President Trump posted this on X, on Twitter. Black Hawk helicopter in western North Carolina is sabotaging volunteer supply zones. The mainstream media censored this. Let's make it go viral. Now, I think it did go viral yesterday, Truth Bin. That's when President Trump put it out yesterday afternoon at 3:02 p.m. That may be where I saw it in the first place. But it's pretty crazy, and you've got, people very upset about it. The pilot and crew of the helicopter need to be identified, prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I think they need to explain themselves. There's no doubt about that. And Cletus, tweeting from the basement, says, I've flown in every helicopter type known to man. Talked about how he's fast roped out of helicopters and jumped out of helicopters. And he says, this was absolutely done on purpose with the rotor wash. The only reason you get that close to the ground is either to drop ropes or land. To drop ropes or land. There was absolutely no reason to land in this area. It's true there was a parking lot, could have landed over there. This was done on purpose to scatter supplies from everyday American citizens, helping those in this part of North Carolina. The FAA News. You all know this thing. He says, you need to get a hold of this. And then there's some cursing going on. So, if you've never flown a helicopter or done any mission in a helicopter, then, your opinion doesn't mean much. And now, I don't know about all that, but I think that the helicopter and the crew should be identified, and they should explain why they brought this Black Hawk helicopter down so close to the ground without landing or, dropping anything, and just blasting the area with rotor wash and causing pandemonium, causing chaos at this relief distribution site, right? Now, with that said, let's get to Elon Musk, because Elon Musk, this is wild. Elon Musk did an interview with Tucker Carlson. Elon Musk was with President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday at the event there, and he was very enthusiastic, and he's a little concerned about what's going on with his future. Now, the headline from the Times of India, the Washington Post is not covering it. Quote, if Trump loses, I'm beeped. The F word, he's cursing a little bit. Elon Musk in interview with Tucker Carlson. So let's go. It's soundbite number 28. Elon Musk talking about what happens if Trump does not win.
I mean, my view is that if Trump doesn't win this election, it's the last election we're going to have. The Democrats, the Dem machine, has been importing so many people, bringing in so many illegals, flying in with this like CBP border app thing that nobody even knew about, like secret program. That's illegal, basically. It's illegal, but there's no action by DOJ to actually to stop it from happening.
Well, our Department of Justice is a very strange place these days, but Elon Musk, and he's got a lot more to say, I'm going to share it with you, says if Trump doesn't win, and it sounds like the Democrat Party rhetoric, they've been using this rhetoric forever, and I think it's important to co-opt their rhetoric and throw it in their crooked faces, said this will be the last election that we're going to have in the United States. The Democrat machine is importing so many illegals. And I've got more from Elon Musk coming up for you. And it gets even more than that. Wait till you hear what he has to say. An unforgettable meal brings people together, as we all know, and nothing makes a meal unforgettable like the unrivaled quality and delicious flavor of Omaha steaks. You can taste the difference and save 50% off site-wide at Omaha Steaks, their semi-annual sale at omahasteaks.com. Plus, because you hang out with me, you're going to get another $30 off with the code PLANT. So you get 50% off plus $30 off. Come on. Their legendary steaks are selected from the finest grain-finished beef for superior marbling, and then they're hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. Then each and every steak is flash frozen at the moment of carving to retain its rich, juicy flavor. And now you get to save 50% off the entire website, mouth-watering steaks and more during the semi-annual sale at omahasteaks.com. Plus, because you hang out with me, listen to my radio show, you get another $30 off with the code PLANT. That's PLANTE. Y and E. Nobody knows. That's 50% savings plus another $30 off. OMAHA, omahasteaks.com with the code PLANT. Minimum purchase may apply. Visit omahasteaks.com for details. Yes, sir. Yeah, so more Elon Musk. And then the Democrats coming out in favor of the jihad against the Jews, violently wrecking, New York and Columbia University and burning the American flag and stuff. Democrats. So I've got more Elon Musk coming up and more Kamala on 60 Minutes. Well, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Matt calling from Rockville, Maryland. Matthew, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. There's a site called FlightAware, and one of the guys in the videos that was posting about the roto wash, they said that they went on there and the transponder must have been off because they said that the helicopter was a complete ghost. But what I wanted to call about was KJP, who was doing her best Cesar Romano Joker impression with her dress.
She was.
They said that there's an accounting table where some money from FEMA is earmarked for this and some money is marked for that. Well, these are the same idiots that believed that money wasn't fungible when they unfroze $6 billion to go to Iran. Now, Chris, clearly they told us that it was for humanitarian aid. Well, if you look over the last year, what has happened? Well, you've had the Houthis that have been shooting weapons. You've had the Hamas. You've had Hezbollah, all funded by Iran. Where would that money come from? Oh, let's add on top of that, where could they be getting these weapons from? I don't know. Let's say a hostage that we released that was an arms dealer who we just found out recently in the news that Victor Boot just sold another $10 million of arms to terrorists.
That's right.
It's one big cluster F, and these people are just completely incompetent.
Well, either that or this is what they want. It might be generous to just call them incompetent.
My view is that if Trump doesn't win this election, it's the last election we're going to have.
My view is if Trump doesn't win this election, it's the last election we're going to have. Elon Musk, an immigrant to the United States, the world's richest man on a good day, quite a remarkable Renaissance man, a Howard Hughes plus of his generation. You may recall that not so long ago, the Justice Department sued SpaceX, one of his companies, for discriminating against asylum-seeking illegal alien refugees in his hiring practice. And I just went to the Justice Department website because he reminded me of it in his interview with Tucker Carlson, which is full of great stuff. Asylees, meaning people seeking asylum but that have not yet been granted asylum, and refugees, meaning anybody that rolled across our border with somebody else's daughter in a bag full of fentanyl, with relevant information should contact the Justice Department. And they've got a tab. You can get it in Espanol, too. The Treasury Department, Thursday, August 24th, 2023. And they were suing Elon Musk because he wasn't hiring enough illegal aliens for his space program. Because you definitely want Venezuelan gang members who are non-English speaking gang members to be hired by the people running the private space program. So the Biden-Harris Justice Department actually sued SpaceX last year because they weren't hiring enough illegal aliens. Isn't that amazing? Man, oh man. Just wacky. I'm telling you. Then SpaceX won a reprieve from a U.S. lawsuit being sued alleging anti-immigrant bias. Anti-immigrant. Not hiring enough illegal aliens. Our government is not on our side. They are not with us. All right, let's go to soundbite number 29 because Elon Musk started talking to Tucker Carlson and started by saying that if Trump doesn't win this election, it's the last election we're going to have in the United States of America. The Democrats have been saying that about Trump forever and about other Republicans, too, because, they're the left. They're out of their minds. And he said the Democrat machine has been importing so many illegal aliens that, you're not going to have a legitimate election ever again going forward. And he started talking about the illegal aliens and what they're doing with all the millions and millions of illegals.
And the Dems also issue all these programs, these sort of handouts, essentially, that make them beholden to the Democratic Party. So they vote Dem.
They vote Dem.
That's what happens. So my prediction is if there's another 4 years of a Dem administration, they will legalize so many illegals that are there that the next election, there won't be any swing states.
There won't be any swing states. And this is where are they moving, these illegal aliens? What are the thousands of Haitians that they brought into Springfield, Pennsylvania, a key swing state? Without Pennsylvania, you can't win. So they move thousands and thousands of illegals into Pennsylvania. Coincidence? Let's go to 29A because Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk are having a back and forth. CNN became very upset about this. CNN is angry that Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson, the angry headline is, Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson laugh about possible consequences for Musk if Trump loses election. And they had a whole panel about it and everything. And he said we had to beep it for you because he got blunt.
If he loses, man, what?
You're dude. If he loses, I'm
It does seem that way. You can't just be like,
Yeah, I'm like, how long do you think my prison sentence is going to be? Do you think? Will I see my children? I don't know.
Because it's not like you can say, well, yeah, I maxed out to him, but, I get...
I have no plausible deniability. No, and I've been trashing Kamala nonstop.
Oh, I know.
And I've been trashing, he called her Kampala. Did he call her Kampala? A nasty capital city, Kampala. I think that's what he called it. I think he called it. And he said, I'll clean it up and say, he's saying, I'm screwed if Kamala wins. The government is going, how long will my prison sentence be? And honestly, obviously, he has the wherewithal to do whatever he wants. But when we have the richest people in the world living in terror of the left taking over the United States of America for another 4 years with this dim-witted Kampala, that is something. Now, the New York Post has the story, and they wrote it for real, unlike CNN. Elon Musk suggests he'll be thrown in prison if Harris beats Trump. If he loses, I'm beeped, is the headline. They had beeped the headline. Billionaire Tesla and ex-boss Elon Musk suggested that he will end up behind bars if Vice President Kamala Harris beats former President Donald Trump in next month's election. And now keep in mind that yesterday I played audio where Joe Scarborough said that, that Trump wins, then Joe Scarborough is going to go to prison because he's such a powerful media figure. And they've been saying this stuff forever.
They have promised, Jonathan, that this next term, the Trump second term, they will have people there who will execute every one of Trump's orders and demands. And they have promised we will not miss next time. Right. We will find our targets and we will throw them in jail.
And that includes Morning Joe.
And we will throw them in jail. Nobody has said anything of the kind. That is just a delusional, drug-induced fantasy that makes them feel important and like victims at the same time. But that is perfectly normal rhetoric coming from the left-wing, radical, lunatic left, police station burning media, the looters, the American flag burners. They did it yesterday. They love Hamas. They hate the Jews. They're so much like Nazis that they barely know it. And your free speech is misinformation, and they're going to have to be civil and maybe criminal penalties. Hillary Clinton said it. This is your Democrat Party. Tucker Carlson then asked, because he took over Twitter, and boy, they really like Twitter. They use Twitter. And the FBI went to Twitter in the last election cycle to make sure that they didn't allow people to share the Hunter Biden laptop story out of the New York Post, which was all true. And the FBI tampered on our election, and our news media is fine with that. And there is no U.S. attorney that's charging anybody for tampering in our elections, and the intelligence community, too. We are a third world I was going to say monkey ass, but I don't want to say that country. Just amazing. So I won't. See, that's a parallepsis right there. Rhetorical device where you say that you're not going to say something while you say it. Now, here's Tucker Carlson. How can you continue? Because they love Twitter so much, and you bought it and changed its name to X. It's formerly known as Twitter. Did you know that? Every newspaper article still has formerly known as Twitter. Tucker Carlson, what if Kamala wins? What about Twitter X?
If she wins, how can they let X continue in its current form, in its current role in American society?
They won't. They will try to shut it down by any means possible.
What do you mean by any means possible?
With law, either via. They'll try to pass laws. They'll try to prosecute the company, prosecute me.
The fact that the most successful people in the world are now quaking in fear that a corrupt U.S. government, this is the end of civilization on Earth. And the left has targeted us for generations now, the Soviet days and Putin and the gang. They have targeted the United States. The communists, the totalitarians of the world, have targeted the United States for years and years, and they've been plotting and scheming and digging in on college campuses and raising the next generation to populate the boardroom with radical left ideas and notions. And now they've taken over the Democrat Party. Look, Barack Obama was mentored by a communist as a teenager by the name of Frank Marshall Davis, a literal member of the Communist Party, because his crazy mother just dumped him and abandoned him over and over again. His African father abandoned Barack Obama, and his crazy white Midwestern mother abandoned Obama. And he was left to the grandparents in Hawaii, who were perfectly normal people, but it wasn't enough. And he got a Communist Party member as his mentor as a teenager. And then Barack Obama picked a Communist Party voter, John Brennan, to be the CIA director. And then the CIA tampered in our election, our presidential election. John Brennan, one of the key figures tampering in our presidential election, like we're the third world country, because we more or less are, thanks to Barack Obama primarily, and the rest of these lefties. Now, Elon Musk talking to, he's like, hey, they're using the Justice Department and their minions in Georgia and New York against President Trump, and he's expecting the same fate is awaiting him.
The amount of lawfare that we're seeing taking place is outrageous.
Lawfare.
I have many examples, but like the Department of Justice, for example, launched a huge lawsuit against SpaceX for failing to hire asylum seekers.
Come on.
Yeah,
asylum seekers?
Not asylum, those who've been granted asylum seekers.
Not people that have been granted asylum, just anybody that crossed the border and say, I want asylum because I'm with MS-13, I'm with TDA, I'm with Tren de Agua, and the Venezuelan prison gang. No big deal. Just amazing stuff. And I got to tell you, the one of the left wingers in the Obama administration, State Department, was a woman named Victoria Nuland. Victoria Nuland was testifying on Capitol Hill during the Obama years, and she talked about what the Soviet Union and the Russians do to trick and deceive populations, countries, peoples. That's a whole bunch of peoples.
It is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
Blame on the other guy, and that's why you've got them out there. Joe Scarborough, and there's, Trump's going to arrest me and put me in jail. You start the disinformation and misinformation campaign early, and they have launched their misinformation campaign. Just remarkable times we're in. Man, oh man, oh man. All right, tell you what. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to where I got to look at my thing. Let's go to Leah. Leah, calling from Bismarck, North Dakota. Leah, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, Chris.
Hi there.
I love your show. My husband loves your show. I was just wondering if you think Jane Fonda will have any insight into the hurricanes like she did into COVID being God's gift to the left. And
I'm glad you remember that. Go ahead.
I think it's that evil laugh, that little giggle at the end that really expresses how they feel about real Americans. And that is just, and she's gotten a pass for years and years. And she's just so bright. I was wondering if she was going to say anything about the hurricanes.
Well, you're 100% right, and I'm glad you brought it up because Hanoi Jane Fonda, a well-known traitor for the communist cause, sucking up to the North Vietnamese communists during the Vietnam War and more, disgrace to her father's name and legacy. But Hanoi Jane was talking about the Wuhan Red Death out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China, which at that point had, according to all of the geniuses, killed 8 million or 7 million people at least worldwide, including more than 1 million people in the United States of America. And Hanoi Jane was asked about it, and this is what Hanoi Jane said.
COVID is God's gift to the left.
And you're right, Leah, the little laugh at the end is really the cherry on top, isn't it?
It sure is. My dad was in the Korean War, and he came home and was changed, and he saw her antics, and he never liked her, and I'll put that lightly.
Yeah,
and
as politely as you can.
Yeah, and I appreciate everything that you are letting America know about all the stuff that's going on in this country, and I appreciate your voice.
Well, thank you, Leah. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that, and I'm just wacky for the truth. You know, I love the truth, and look, when it comes to Republicans, they're not always the greatest of shakes either, and the truth about them matters a lot and helps to keep them on track. Some can't be kept on track, but for the most part, they're certainly the lesser of two evils, no matter what. And yeah, you're right. The left doesn't care about human life at all. The Democrats, their most important thing is abortion. We had more than 1 million abortions last year, the greatest number of abortions in more than a decade, and they just pound the table and demand more. Third trimester, up to the last moment, more. And they love murderers. They're waving murderers into the country, and the left has murdered 100 million people since the Bolshevik Revolution, and they're not done yet.
One other thing, if the orange man wins next November, it's going to be much worse for Palestinians, I can say that.
Jane Fonda, thank you so much for joining us.
Now, Kamala did sit down with 60 Minutes and did something of an interview there. And one of the funnier moments, I thought, was asking, because she claimed recently, oh, I'm a gun owner. I've got a gun at home. And if my husband slaps me really hard across the face like he did that woman at the Cannes Film Festival at the Harvey Weinstein party, boy, I might have to shoot his rumpus. And 60 Minutes on gun-toting Kamala.
You recently surprised people when you said that you are a gun owner. And then if someone came into your
That
house...
was not the first time I've
they would get
talked
shot.
about it. That's not the first time I've talked about it.
So what kind of gun do you own, and when and why did you get it?
I have a Glock, and I've had it for quite some time.
Quite some time.
And, I mean,
When did you get
my
it?
background is in law enforcement.
She's a cop.
And so there you go.
Have you ever
That's
fired
it?
it?
Yes. Of course I have.
Why are you
At a shooting
cackling?
range?
At a shoot?
Yes, of course I have.
Not at your husband and the vice president's residence? Now, you say it's a Glock. See, if somebody asked me, said, oh, do you own a firearm? Yeah, I do. What do you own? I said, a Glock 19. You know, it's a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. I've got a Glock 21 also. That's the .45 caliber. But she just says, I've got a Glock. Have you? I've had it for some time. I don't know. And have you fired it? Oh, yeah, I went to the shooting range and I shot it. Sure. And, of course, he doesn't ask the questions, the natural follow-up questions, because he doesn't know what the natural follow-up questions would be, because Democrats are all kind of transgender, I think. Maybe that's part of it. Kamala went on The View today, another hard-hitting interview. A friend of mine texted me that he had it on the TV with the sound down at the office, and it looks like they're all sitting there giggling, waiting for Santa Claus to show up and give them gifts.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
Heck no.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of
Afghanistan?
of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Maybe drawing down out of Afghanistan, maybe you do that differently. Maybe the hurricane response.